This is representing the Texas Gazette as it was printed by Godwin Cotton. So right over here we have a replica ramage press, which was very generously donated to us by John Horn out of Arkansas. It is the same style press as the one Godwin Cotton brought with him to operate the newspaper here. And as you can imagine, a newspaper with this press is going to operate very differently from a newspaper does today. So first it's really going to begin over here at the editor's desk, where oftentimes the editor is reading someone else's newspaper and pulling articles from their paper to include in his. He's also going to be soliciting for things like advertisements. Might be a few articles that he's writing himself. Once he knows what's going to go into his newspaper, he's going to hand off his work to the compositor, and this is his station over here. So we have the cases of lead type. So each and every one of these cubbies is filled with a different letter, and there are different fonts, different sizes of those fonts as well. So as you can see, we've got a good number of cases here and also in our upper attic space. Now, we have two cases here, an upper and lower case. The capitalized letters are going to be in your upper case, and your lowercase letters are in the lower case. Non-capitalized letters in the lower case.
Is that what the term comes from, I guess?
Yes. So the compositor is going to be going along using a composing stick like this, and he is going to likely been doing this job so long that these cases are all mapped out the same way. He's going to be operating off of muscle memory. So he's going to be reading along with the article, reaching into each cubby, and then putting it into this composing stick, which is a skill I do not have at this time. Once the plate is completed, they'll put it into the press here. As you can see, we've got some things that we've assembled letter by letter, and by we, I mean the royal we. Our nice volunteers out here on the front porch, Frank and Mark, have assembled these. But you have to account when it comes to these for all this open space. So it's going to take, not just are you putting it in letter by letter backwards to create a mirror image, but you have to account for all that blank space too. Then you put it into the press here. And when you're ready to go, you will insert your paper into the frisket here. Hold the frisket down, roll this under the press, and then roll the coffin out. And then if you were in production, you'd have a nice print ready to go. And then you'd hang it over here to dry, because it's going to take a little while to dry. It's not ready to hand off right away like our printers are today. So I tell you this to really lay out that this is not a daily paper, this is a weekly paper. And even that, then you're not pulling out the articles every single time. You're going to be leaving some things in there to run for a little while. It's not completely new and different every single edition. Godwin Cotton, as he found out, would discover it's not the most successful business operating in printing press here in San Felipe. Not a lot of people are paying for the subscriptions, but he is earning quite a bit of money printing for the land office. So there's lots of form letters. Some of them are on the wall over here that he is printing for Stephen F. Austin. So here's a promissory note. I will pay Stephen F. Austin $50 for my land. This is a notice of how you can receive land in the colony, and this is the cover page for the first book printed in Texas. It is a translation of the laws, orders, and contracts of colonization in Mexican Texas. So Godwin Cotton printed this up for Stephen F. Austin and his land office. So by the time this press is operating, Stephen F. Austin, he has the ability to, he now knows what the state government is going to be forming as and how they want things in Texas. So it allows him to share the various different notices of how that formation is going to come about. The local government can print up notices that through this press as well. Just like government today, there's occasionally something that we want everybody to know. This print shop is how you get that information out. Because clearly, the councilmen here from the Ayuntamiento aren't writing everywhere throughout this colony to let them know, or through their district to let them know what's happening. So this printing press is one way to do so. Stephen F. Austin solicited Godwin Cotton to come here to operate a printing press because this is the hub of where all that information is going to be coming from. This newspaper is how it's going to get out. So the last newspaper printed in San Felipe would be the Telegraph and Texas Register, and that begins in October of 1835, and it's run by the Baker and Borden. It's the Borden brothers, and they start operating that newspaper right as the Texas Revolution is kicking off. So its first edition actually describes the events of the Battle of Gonzales. It also includes, hey guys, we had elected delegates to attend a consultation in San Felipe. It's rather important that happens now that we're actively fighting against the Mexican army. We need to come to San Felipe and decide what we're actually doing. That printing press, that operation is contracted by the government to publish its various broadsides, anything they want the people of Texas to know, and it becomes a mouthpiece for the Texas Revolution as a result. This printing press and this shop are still held under contract even when the government relocates to Washington on the Brazos. Falls apart here. They call a new meeting at Washington on the Brazos. That is where independence is declared. They're still sending things down to San Felipe to be printed. William B. Travis initially thinks the government's still here, so he's writing his letter saying, help, help at the Alamo. I'm holding with X number of men. Santa Anna's here. I could use all the support you can send. That's coming here and then being sent to Washington on the Brazos. Then things are coming back from Washington on the Brazos, printed up, and then sent out. So we declare independence March 2nd. Well, we write the document March 2nd. That's what we say, we declare independence. I personally think, well, we didn't sign the document, it's not official, so I think March 3rd, but pedantic things that I'll argue about. March 2nd, they know they're going to adopt it. They send a copy down here to be printed. And they print up 1,000 copies almost overnight on March 5th to spread this news out to the people of Texas and to the world. And if you've ever worked or seen people work a printing press, 1,000 copies almost overnight, they are working fast. They're moving rather efficiently. And I can tell you that tab for that 1,000 copies, it's going to cost the government $94.50. They are under contract, but they're complaining almost constantly that they haven't been paid. We've been told we're going to be paid. Well, this is expensive. We need some money. This print shop is viewed as so important to the war effort that it is actually evacuated from San Felipe before the townsfolk are. They're using wagons to bring this printing press in the operation. As you can see, this is a ramage press. This is mahogany. This is not the same style press as the one that Baker and Borden were using. We have a copy of that in the same style press in our exhibit space inside. It is cast iron. It is 1,000 pounds. You're not just chucking this on your back and running out of town real quick. This is going to take some logistical planning, because not only do you have the press, but you have all this type behind you to print with that you've got to take out. And lead is famously light, right? No, it's heavy. You got a lot of it that you got to take. So they evacuate all this equipment. They set up the operation again in Harrisburg, and they're still printing what news they can. At that point in time, it's honestly mostly government notices about what's going on. The last edition of the newspaper is April 14th, because they are captured on the 15th by the Mexican army. And you can hear in that account, you can even read in that paper. If you're not familiar with the Portal to Texas History, you can read many of these old copies there. There's a story from John Borden about, Gail Borden, sorry, of them having to evacuate this from the town, it being a huge effort to do so, and it was more importantly, expensive too. We're the last press operating in Texas. We need all the help we can get. Subscribers, please pay us. We know it's troublesome, but this takes money. And it's an interesting story to read. And if you've got some time and want to read something that's not modern day news, you can read these old papers through the portal to Texas history. And got some interesting stories and anecdote, events of what's going on. Now the press is captured. The pressmen are arrested. The press itself is thrown into Buffalo Bayou, where it likely still is. There's one account that claims someone is pulling it out, but it's a 1,000-pound cast iron in mud, and we know the Borden brothers, Baker is no longer involved in this operation. It's just the Borden brothers now. They receive a new printing press from the Republic government. So if it was easy to reclaim, why wouldn't they have just done that? So therefore, we don't put too much stock into that story. But they are operating for the government again by August of 1836.